Story time about how my best friend and I were dating the same guy. So a little background information, I was 15 and it was my freshman year of high school. And I had been dating this guy for 3 months who we're gonna call Jacob. He was a part of the popular group and was known for cheating on all his past girlfriends. But why would I see that as a red flag? Because I'm fucking dumb. Anyways, of course he was cheating on me too, and people would tell me that. At first I wanted to leave him, but the problem was he came from a super rich family and he was really cute. So in reality, I really only wanted to stay with him so that way he would keep spoiling me with expensive gifts. He would literally buy me anything and everything I wanted. So my best friend, who we can call Taylor, she came over for a sleepover. The whole night we talked about Jacob cheating on me and she asked me why I had not broken up with him yet. So I told her why I wouldn't leave and then she hyped me up. She was like, period sis, do what you gotta do. Well then I came up with this super good plan for my best friend and I both to get gifts from him and use him. So then I came out and I said, you should be his side chick. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my best friend and I were dating the same guy. So like I said before, he was cheating on me 24/7, but he was spending money on me 24/7. That's the reason why I wouldn't leave him. So then I told my best friend that she should be his side chick. So that way we could both use him for his money. So Taylor started flirting with him to try and make him want her too. And I may have given it a little push by giving her his Snapchat, so she tried to slide in his DMs and then also tried texting him on Snapchat. At first, his cheating ass did not want to do anything with her. And I was like, the one time. Anyways, he was like, I'm with your best friend right now. I don't think we should do this. But of course, like all boys who cheat, he ended up meeting up with her. And they started sneaking around. Meanwhile, I knew all the tea. Taylor was telling me everything. Taylor started getting things from him 24/7 and he looked so stupid. Well, then we decided to fuck with him one more time. Like for part 3. Story time about how my best friend and I were dating the same guy at the same time. So like I said, she was sneaking around with him. Meanwhile, she was telling me everything. He was buying her gifts. He was buying me gifts. So everything was perfect. But we had one little trick left up our sleeves. We decided that we would both make a wish list and put everything that we wanted on there. And at the end of the month, we would have a sleepover, bring everything that we got. Well, on the night of the sleepover, we brought everything, and let me tell you, this filled up my king-size bed. There was stuff all on the floor. So what did I do? I took a video of it, and I uploaded it to Instagram, tagging him and his friends, and wrote a long-ass caption, basically saying, if you cross me, this is what will happen. You'll get played. He was so embarrassed, his friends and everyone at school basically laughed at his dumb ass. Well, he ended up telling his mommy about it, and they came and talked to my parents, and they pretty much just told them to get the fuck over it, like your son did what he did willingly. She didn't do anything wrong. She meaning me. My dad was kind of mad at me, but my mom was super impressed about it, and we laugh about it all the time.
Storytime is how I found out my toxic ex-best friend pretended to be a guy so she could date me. In other words, I was catfish. So back in February when the coronavirus first started out, everyone had to stay home. My best friend at the time, which we're calling Tina, older brother, had caught the virus, and I felt bad for the family because they could also be infected. Me, on the other hand, I live with my older sister who recently had my niece and my 2 grandparents. I told Tina the only way we'd be able to talk was through phone and call and text messages, because I was afraid that she would infect me and I would infect my family. As weeks go by, she tells me that she misses me, and of course I miss her also. At one point, she starts to get jealous because I start texting other people, and from there, I started to distance myself, but not purposely. One day, I get a DM from this really cute guy, which we're calling Bryson. He came up with a corny line, but I thought it was cute. He was really nice, and we talked as though we knew each other for years. As the number of cases of coronavirus go down, I tell him we should go on a date. Guys, this is when it gets weird. This is part 2 of how I found out my toxic ex-best friend pretended to be a guy so she could date me. So after we talked for about 4 months, I tell him that we should go out and finally meet face to face. He's like, I don't know yet. If I go somewhere, I'd like to take you somewhere really nice, so I might have to save up. I was like, we don't need to do anything fancy. I just want to finally meet you. He's like, I need more time. So I was patient and waited a whole month. I told him, let's meet. He's like, I'm not ready yet. And I said, if we don't go out this weekend, then I'm done talking to you. So he finally agreed to go to the movies theater with me. When we finally meet, I was so surprised because he was short. I expected him to be taller by now. His pictures looked like he was taller. He had a black hoodie on and his face was partially covered up. I was like, are you good? His voice was raspy. He says he lost his voice. When the movie was over, we got up and left the theater. When it was time to leave, we gave hugs and he kissed me. As he's hugging me, I feel breath. It gets really weird after this. Part 3 will be up soon. This is part 3 of how I found out my toxic best friend pretended to be a guy so she could date me. So after the movie was over, we stepped outside and I said goodbye. He hugs and kisses me and I immediately feel breasts. I'm like, what the? Anna pushes him away and his hoodie flew off. Well, her hoodie fell off. I found out that this guy was my best friend, Tina. I'm like, what the hell, Tina? Why are you here? She's like, I'm so sorry. I asked her again, why are you here? She then explains to me that she pretended to be the guy I was talking to because she wanted to get closer to me. I was freaked out because I thought I was talking to someone else this whole time for 5 months. I got so wrapped up over this guy that didn't even exist and told things to that I never told anyone. But then I got so disgusted because I couldn't believe my own best friend would do that. And I feel like if we never met, I probably would still be talking to this fake man. At the end, I completely blocked her and stopped being her friend.
And I said, but it wasn't your work phone, it was your personal phone. And he said, no, it wasn't. And I said, yes, it was. And that's when he accused me of being paranoid and crazy. And that's when I knew he was cheating. I had to keep it cool though. I was feeding the kids in the kitchen when this all happened. On this day, he was going to go to work. I knew that he was going to take his personal and his work phone with him to the office. So what I did was change the phone covers on each phone and flip them upside down. He grabbed the work phone thinking it was his personal phone. He put it in his pocket and went to the bathroom. And he left his work phone, which was his personal phone, on the countertop. I told him that maybe I should keep it just in case I needed to answer emails, and he said yes. He left and I had his phone all to myself. As soon as I opened his personal phone, I went straight to the messages and I found his 2 girlfriends, Laura and Missy. Part 3 story time about how I found my husband's secret phone, his 2 girlfriends, and his 5 dating apps. Disclaimers on my story time instead of me on Instagram. I started reading through the text messages between his 2 girlfriends. I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. He had been together with the first girl for 2 months and the second girl just for 3 weeks. And in the messages, he was totally bad-mouthing me. He was telling them that I was crazy and abusive. And that's how he justified his cheating to them. I also read in some of the messages that he was complaining about our kids, how spoiled and ungrateful my kids were, and that's why he wanted to escape the house to be with them. Let me tell you, our kids are so considerate and so loving towards us. They're very affectionate children, and they never get upset at their dad whenever he has to go to work. So for him to be talking badly about our children just made everything 10 times worse. After reading the messages for about 2 or 3 minutes, I went to the bathroom and vomited. I was physically ill. His messages were so perverted too. I know that when you start a new relationship, you're always trying to impress people, but he just took it too far. After I vomited, I went back to his phone and kept reading the messages. This is when I found out that he was paying both of these girls rents. So the whole time I'm helping him with his job to earn money for our family, half of that was going to these women. I got sick again. After I calmed down for a few minutes, I went back to his phone. Then I found his dating apps. His dating profile was so disgusting too. He was all about fitness and mental health. He also claimed that he was single in his dating profiles. So on top of him cheating on me, he was cheating on his 2 girlfriends. This time I didn't bother reading all the messages he had in the dating apps, but I did notice that he was going on dates with multiple girls several times a week. Later on, I found out that the whole work situation was a lie. He was working from home the entire time, but going on dates. I took screenshots of everything and went straight to my lawyer. I filed for divorce that very same day. When my husband came home, I confronted him and he denied everything. Even with all the proof, he's still denying it. He's not speaking to our children, and you better believe I'm getting half of all his money. Bye. Story time about how I had my boyfriend beat up for cheating on me and all the terrible things I did to get back at him. My boyfriend and I had been together for 5 years. During that time together, I really wanted to get married, and I would bring it up all the time. After the first year, he told me that he wasn't ready to get married, and that was basically his excuse for the 5 years that we were together. Come to find out that he had cheated on me with over 20 women, even with my best friend. When he and I first started dating, he was really sweet and kind. He was also borderline obsessed with me.